What's up? So we're done with 40 out of 40. Trickster is now 99. That means I can focus on other things. And first up is my Summon Raiding Spirits diary using Minion Instability. So before I bore you with my usual long-ass stories, I'll give you the too long didn't read. It's not fine-tuned yet. Single target is really good. Clears map really good, but not supersonic speed. It is really good in blight maps. It's fairly cheap. Once again, it's not fine-tuned yet. I have a couple ideas of how I would want to improve it. So whilst I'm telling you the story, you can watch some gameplay footage in the background. So while I was leveling the Trickster from 97 to 99, I needed a boss killer because I didn't want to take any risks whatsoever against Guardians and Cyrus. Now in terms on Cyrus Guardians, the only one who was a potential danger was maybe Veritania, but you know, no risks. Problem was that I didn't actually know what type of boss killer I was looking for, so I rolled a Ball Lightning Miner. I didn't get very far. I abandoned it at 70 something, mostly because I hate the playstyle of mines and I wasn't very impressed by the damage. I asked a friend of mine if his spider build was a good boss killer, and he basically responded, gets the job done. Since I've had a few people telling me over the years, well, at least since they introduced the dagger, I don't really know when that was, to play spiders because it's so good. But I never got around to it, figured now was the time. So because I'm gonna do a minion build as a Necro, I figured I would level with SRS. I leveled with SRS last league, and it was so broken, I just had to do it again. I kinda more or less went all out, grabbed a Skin of the Lords, or Loyal, I forget which is which, to get +1 gems. I then alt-spammed 2 level 1 wands to get +1 fired. Then at level 10, I put in an Empower level 2, which then turns into a level 3, because Skin of the whatever. And at 45, I put in a level 3, which then turns into a level 4, because Skin of the Loyal, or whatever. The gem setup I used was SRS, Melee Splash, which I then swapped for Multi-Strike for bosses, Minion Damage, Unleash. Unleash is better than Echo, because it doesn't lock you in animation, and you I guess you kinda need like a lot of cast speed to make Echo worth it, but Unleash is so much better. Minion Speed, and Empower. So the last time I played SRS was back in Legacy League, and back then Minion Speed outperformed Empower level 3, and was pretty damn close with Empower level 4. So having some previous SRS experience, I knew I wanted Minion Speed, and having recently leveled with the same setup, I knew I had enough damage to not use weapon elemental damage or melee fizz. I did all labs and skill points and Act 10 Kitava in a casual 4 hours. At around level 70, my plan kinda changed. I was still gonna do spiders, but I really wanted to mess around with SRS more, and then I remembered Sis doing SRS with Minion Instability, and I really actually want to try that out because it looked and sounded very interesting. So I started messing around with that instead. It worked out really great. It's a surprisingly good boss killer. Not the best out there, but good enough. I ran with Skitterbots and Hatred and kept getting one-tapped by literally everything with close to 6k life. So I decided to drop Skitterbots, Hatred, and opted to go Mind Over Matter instead. And since then, I've actually barely ever died at all. So because of my 38 map Simulacrum grind, which you need to hit the 750 waves, I had a shit ton of Breachstone saved, so I kind of cruised to level 91 without ever stepping my foot in an actual map. So let's have a look at my gear and shit then, shall we? So we're using the Minion Instability keystone, which means minions explode when reduced to low life, dealing 33% of their life as fire damage to surrounding enemies. So this means we want to scale as much minion life as we possibly can. So my weapons are 2 Convoking Wands with +1 to minion skills. On one of them, I have trigger socket a spell when you use a skill, and these goes in a sequence. So I got Desecrate, Flesh Offering, and Stormbrand in here. So Stormbrand is for Elemental Equilibrium, so whenever I cast, you know, SRS, it does the Desecrate, and then the Flesh Offering, and then puts down a Stormbrand. On my... Shut up! On my other one, we got Haste, which I don't actually use. I do use the Vault Haste every now and then. We got Flame Dash and Convocation. So I haven't actually invested into these wands that much. Bought them for like a couple chaos each. Made sure they had room for the craft. Yeah, I mean, they're garbage. The helmet is one of the more important items. So what we're looking is for +3 to socketed minion gems, Immolate and Minion Life, and by some sheer miracle an open prefix for life or potentially energy shield. You have no idea. I think not a day goes by where I'm considering trying to annul that rarity so I can actually slap on life there, but no. Getting this combination is actually really difficult, and I mean really difficult. And somewhat expensive, although I got this one for only 2x. So in here we obviously have our SRS. We got SRS with Empower, Unleash, and Combustion. Now, a single target Empower is obviously the obvious choice, but when mapping, Melee Splash is actually... It actually feels so much better than Empower. I just cannot map without Melee Splash because it just feels so much better. Like, even though the whole point of the SRS is to explode, they actually do a decent amount of damage, so the splash is actually really helpful for the clear. Now, the most important item for our build is Tabukai. It makes our SRS, and only the SRS, take 20% of their lives as chaos damage, which means the most important stat on this amulet is to have as much negative chaos resistance as possible, because this goes between -17 to +17. Okay, that second minus confused the shit out of me. But yeah, from -17 to +17. So the more chaos res the SRS have, the less damage they're actually gonna take. You also want to make sure that your SRS cap never hits 20. Because if it hits 20, oh, this is going to make an exploding noise, isn't it? Because if your SRS hits the cap of 20, and you then cast another SRS, it is going to replace one random SRS with a new one, and by doing so at the cap, it doesn't count as them dying, so they don't explode. I find the ideal number to hit is around 15. I think I'm currently like averaging 12 or so. So if you do hit the cap, or are very close to hitting the cap, you should try and get rid of... Well, first of all, you should try and get a better amulet with more negative resistances, divine or buy a new one, or get rid of some minion life regen on a tree. So my current anointment here is Ravenous Horde, which is this one, because I like the movement speed. We also have a chance of getting Onslaught on kill. That's mostly for the zombies, though. I did have Grey Pact for a bit, for the chance to deal double damage, which I'm not entirely sure actually works with the explosion or not. So if someone could confirm that for me. Yeah, it's kind of whichever. So along with this amulet, I'm also using Fortress Covenant, which makes all my minions take 20% increased damage. All my minions. Which also turns every notable in range to minion takes increased damage. So Quick Recovery transforms to minions take increased damage. Aligned Spirits, minions take increased damage. This one, increased damage. You have to allocate them, by the way, but yeah, in range, they transform into minion take damage. Which actually works for the chaos damage taken. So, with the duel, my SRS lives for about 3.5 seconds before they explode, and without it, about 7 seconds before they explode. I've been messing around a lot with it, removing it, putting it back in, stuff like that, but... Stuff like that, I mean, that's literally the only thing I can do, right? Shorter duration means they'll explode faster, but it also means my zombies, not to mention my guardian, will also take more damage. My zombies have basically never died except on Cyrus. Occasional delirium explosions, no, not volatiles, bearers, storm bearers, frost bearers, all of that. But I just cannot make up my mind if it's better, if this duel is better or not. The difference doesn't seem, like in terms of damage, the difference doesn't seem to be significant or even actually noticeable, but the duration is shorter, which means they're going to explode faster. So I'm going to make some annoying noises now, but without the duel currently, mostly because I have a bunch of region on a tree, you can see that I'm hitting 19. I'm going like 17, 18, 19. We don't see the number 20, but we're damn close to it. But if I put the duel in, we go down to 12-ish. So if we try like without Fortress Covenant, and we'll get rid of one, that 1% life regen on the minions. We drop down to 16, 17. So if I'm gonna run without the duel, I have to take out one regen. But putting it in, it actually helps a little bit, because, let's see, putting it in now again. We're barely hitting 12. And then the life regen again. I guess we're stuck on 12 either way, but now we're definitely on 12. So yeah, you're gonna have to like find a balance if you want to use a duel or not. Well, either way, if you're not using the duel, you're still gonna have to find a balance between how much life regen you can have on your minions. So Cisaran actually used his duel up here, which transformed this and even these nodes to minions take damage. So putting it up here, they take 80% increased damage, and down here they would take 40% increased damage, so that's half. But he also put his here because he didn't mind losing a zombie and a specter, but I actually do. I actually want my extra specter and zombie, so that's why I've chosen not to put it here. I think I also have currently some slight dex problems, so I actually need this node as well. Unless, you know, I don't think I can actually get another dex node somewhere else. And so arguably, you kind of want, yeah, like minion damage and minion life. So you arguably want something like this instead. It's up in the air, really. It's like up to you what you want to do. Me, I just haven't really decided. I've decided to keep running with this because my zombies seems to stay alive. My specters have never died. My guardian, thank God, seems to never die as well. Let's see then. Rings, we got life resist. Life resist. I got my clarity in here too, because no room. My chest piece, we got a sacrificial garb. I was gonna use a belly of the beast, but I just simply could not get the colors. Yeah, so, and I just had this laying around. I completed the divination card set, so, you know, the base is gonna work for the colors I need. So I just slapped some essences on there, ended up with this. And in the end, I want to say it's kind of better to use this because now I can actually put percent mana on there as well. And when it comes to think to it, I should probably up the mana another 3%, since we're Mind of a Matter, I mean. So in my chest, we got Race Zombie, we got Melee Fizz, Elemental Army, Multi-Strike, Feeding Frenzy, and Minion Damage. So in our gloves, life resist, much dexterity as you can, and since is that a prefix? Do we even have a suffix open? Yeah, we have a suffix and a prefix open. My resist were fine, so I just slapped on minion damage instead. And in here we got Ray Spectre with Elemental Army, Minion Life, and Feeding Frenzy. So the specters I'm using, I can't really remember the names. You get them in like Act 7, in Ashen Fields. They're Chieftain something. They're different ones. They're two different ones. One of them gives me and my minions frenzy charges, and the other one gives power charges. I don't know which one I have the more of because I can only have 3 specters. If I buy a 21, a level 21 Ray Spectre, I can get 4 specters. But you know, so for my belt, life resist, some mana, flask applied to you have increased effect, just a small bonus, accidental bonus I guess. I crafted Aspect of the Spider on here before I went Mind Over Matter, but since I kept dying all the fucking time, I just kept the belt when I went Mind Over Matter. Can't actually use Aspect of the Spider because I reserved too much. Yeah. I put my mana at only 1200, so. As for boots, we got Animate Guardian with Meat Shield, Minion Life, and I have a self-cast Flammability in here because that's literally the only place I have room for it. So my Guardian has, this is gonna take a long time to remember. So he's got Kingmaker, he's got Ambush Charge, he's got Victorious Flight, which gives me and my minions extra movement speed. What else? Southbound Gloves. I might swap the chest for Gruskul's Pelt, which is gonna give him far more life regen and well just straight up more defenses. Because Ambush Charge, like the only thing that does is if he gets hit, he has a chance to get an endurance charge. And when he gets charges, he shares them with me. But he doesn't really ever seem to get hit. So the thing about Kingmaker is it gives everyone Fortify. It also gives... What is it? It gives like chance to crit and stuff like that. Yeah, Kingmaker's presence. You have, we get Calling Strike, item rarity, which, you know, is whatever. Crit multi and Fortify. Jesus, look at his head. He's got no head, and he's got eyes in his neck. Oh yeah, Learcast. I'm using Learcast as this headpiece. I knew there was more, I forgot. Jesus, he looks so dumb. My flasks aren't actually optimized yet, but whatever. So we got a Seething Divine. I don't have quality even. We got a Quartz with Dispel Freeze. We definitely want a Quartz. Just got a random Quicksilver. We got a Rumis. Because sometimes I use Bone Offering and sometimes I don't. It doesn't really do a whole, like I prefer, like clear speed wise, I prefer the Flesh Offering, but with Bone Offering it doesn't really do me a whole lot. 42 and 27, it does something, but not a whole lot. And a Bubbling Eternal Mana. And I really don't want to remove Curse on something like this, because, yeah, it's just going to remove the Curse, and then I'm going to get it back on immediately, so we can't run stuff like Temp Chains maps. So, yeah, we need to move that somehow, but, yeah, I'm still, like, I'm 92, but I'm still messing around with a lot of shit, and I have a lot of ideas. So let's jump into the tree and ascendancies. So we get a bunch of minion life and minion damage along the way to get our +2 to all minion skill gems. We also get minion life here, and then Bone Barrier, minions have 20% more maximum life, so that's a more multiplier to our damage. I also get 10% fist reduction, because I basically always have 10 minions up. The life recovery rate is not really noticeable, but... And we also get the bow and armor skill, which I'm really bad at using. Can't see it, can you, really? But yeah, it's basically steel skin. Pretty sure it stacks with it too, but it's basically a steel skin. And then we go for Mistress of Sacrifice. This is mostly so that I can get the offerings. The skill effect duration is technically kinda bad, I guess, for SRS. I've been tempted to like grab this instead, Plague Bringer. So because of triggering socket spells, Desecrate is always going to be up, so I will basically always have that 10% more damage. So yeah, with Flesh Offering, I mean I get more cast speed, that's more SRS, and with Bone Offering, I actually get block. So it's really bad not to have this. So for the rest of the tree, we did go Minor Matters. So we have like all of the mana nodes. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So yeah, like I'm 92 and my tree is basically done. And I just now realized I could go in here just for the mana. The Arcane Surge doesn't do anything for me, but we do get a lot of mana here. We could maybe instead go for Insightfulness, because we have a tiny bit of energy shield. Yeah, I just don't really know what I could possibly do with the tree, you know, because I have all the minion damage. Skill effect duration, not a thing when you want your SRS to actually die. What's it, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 6 points for Grey Pact if we want to like actually grab that. Got Grave Intentions, which got Chaos Resistance, which is really bad. We don't want that. Yeah, in terms of progressing further in the tree, I really don't know. Probably like the mana nodes, because I have all the life I can get that I know of. Yeah, so we got some minion life regen. You're gonna have to mess around a lot with this to not hit the cap and to make sure your other minion zombies, etc., survives long enough. So we got Fearsome Force, which I think actually works with the explosion. It seems to do. Sorry, I'm gonna make a trade here. Where were we? Yeah, I think this. Yeah. I mean, it definitely should affect the splash. I think it should work, but yeah. It seems to work. If someone can like confirm that I'm an idiot for using this, then please go ahead. So we got Disattunement for 1 extra Spectre, 1 extra Zombie. We got some damage here, and we do have more life over here too, increased life, and I do have a life regen one here. I have been avoiding Minion Leech because I haven't tested with it, but it seems like it would be bad. So as for clusters, we are using Race and Pillage. Oh, maybe I should keep the mouse over a little longer. We got Race and Pillage, which gives minions chance to ignite, which is going to give SRS a higher chance to ignite, even higher chance to ignite, which would put them at 60% chance to ignite, which means there are explosions and melee attacks are going to do more damage, and my zombies and my SRS are going to get more extra fire damage. This is like the only thing. There's not really a whole lot of actually good clusters for this type of build. Most of them have like life regen or leech shit, which is kind of bad. Then went for Call to Slaughter, minions deal increased damage. So this only affects, the bottom part only affects SRS, minions created recently. Because my specters and zombies are always up, they have not been created recently. Have increased attack and cast speed and movement speed, so I really like movement speed on SRS. But I was trying to get either one of these along with what is called, I don't know what it's called, but it gives zombies crit multi and crit chance, which I think would be really good since my specters gives power charges. I have not been able to hit any of that. So as for my small, I got a surging vitality with increased life, And every 5 seconds I regenerate 10% of my life over 1 second, so that sounded really good. Also, hitting Fettle seems to be insanely impossible. I don't know if that's locked on like an 86 item level base or whatever, but I've spent maybe like 1,000 alterations overall on small cluster duels, and I have not seen it once. Right, so 2 things have crossed my mind. Basically 3, but let's start with 2. CI and max block. As CI, I will want to go bows along with a soul strike for more or less instant energy shield recharge. The quiver also has some dexterity, which is always welcome as a summoner. The bow would be a +1 to all gems, and I would benchcraft +2 to support, which would push my empower to level 7, which would give +6 to active skill gems, which would push my SRS to 29. I know you're thinking, Kyuzou, you're shit at math, it's 27. No, with our ascendancy, we do get an additional +2. Which would push it at, yeah, 29, and currently I have 31. So, I would lose, you know, 1 offhand wand, so that's down to 30, and then I would lose... I'm not really sure what I would lose, but it would... Yeah, I would lose +2 either way somehow. So, with a bow setup, I could drop my +3 helmet and craft an actual one. I have actually crafted an actual one, let me show you. Yes, so I could craft something like this with the enchant. However, this means I can no longer use trigger socketed spells. So I would have to self-cast my Offering, my Desecrate, and my Stormbrand, which I guess is fine. But I would 100% need 2 unset rings, and I would still not have room for Discipline, plus Haste, plus Clarity, and, you know, potentially Aspect of the Spider, or whatever I might want to try and run. So I would have to like drop my Guardian. No, that's a bad idea. I would have to drop my Specters. No, I don't want to do that because they buff my zombies. And I would have to run my zombies on like a 4 or a 5 link, which, you know, I probably don't want to do that. So that idea is kind of a bust. My next idea was CI max block, similar to my Trickster. Potentially using Lethal Pride, although with Bone Offering I'm not sure I would need to, maybe. I did the math like the other day, but I can't remember if it was with or without Lethal Pride. But here's a problem I can kinda solve. My main issue here is I'm basically gonna have to run a helmet with very, very, very little energy shield, like this one. Getting my exact helmet on the right base as well, with energy shield as a prefix open, is next to impossible. But I can basically simulate the helmet by using 2 cluster duels, 2 small ones with increased energy shield that has energy from naught, which gives a flat 100. So 2 of those would give me 200. So let's see, so that would give me a 283 energy shield helmet technically. So, but yeah, I would lose a +1. Unless I could, you know, shit rainbows and get a +1 all int gems. Because going shields means I can't get a 21 for level 25. Which means I can't get a 4th Spectre, so it would be no point in me trying to buy one of those. Unless, you know, I get +1 int. My third idea would be kinda revisiting Soul Rest Phantasm on Kill once again, because I really, really love that build, and my only problem with that build was single target. So with Minion Instability, SRS, I won't really have a problem with single targets. But I don't know if I'm actually gonna go through with that idea. I'm very tempted. It is going to take a minimum of 1 month before I even get there, even get to the the thinking stage of, yeah, let's do this. Let's see if we can make this work and beautiful. But yeah, this is the build. At first I kind of didn't want to post a passive building because it was kind of shit, but after having mapping for a little bit now, it's actually not bad. But yeah, I know there's gonna be a lot of people there who wants the passive building. I don't feel like I'm done with the build or tree, but I'll post it anyway. We'll see if I get around to actually making a part 2. Don't hold your breath though, but bye bye.